A lot of the time, stray animals are rescued by caring passer-bys or animal centers, but every now and then, it's the animal who takes matters into their own paws. Keep watching just to see how some of these animals found their own home. Stray dog found at the beach gets a new life. When we think of the beach, we probably think of the sun, sea, and sand. What we don't expect to find is a lonely stray dog. Valia Orphanidou is a native Grecian who loves animals. But with the amount of strays that live in Greece, she tries to focus on rescuing those who need help or who won't survive on the streets. But every now and then, there is an exception to this rule, such as the sweet pup who she found back in 2016. When visiting her family, Valia would take her pack of 3 rescue dogs and let them run loose on the local beach in the evening. One night, as Valia and her dogs were enjoying the quiet beach, a stray dog approached them and started to play. She was looking desperate for company. She joined the 4 of us and tried to fit in. There was something about her that made her life as a stray extremely vulnerable, Valia said. Despite the stray seeming quite healthy, the woman could tell that she was lonely and was looking for a family where she could belong. Used to seeing strays on a daily basis, Valia left the dog on the beach. But after 2 nights of tossing and turning, she knew that she had to help. Being cautious at first, as the dog's character might have been violent, the woman watched the stray from afar, and what she saw broke her heart. The sweet pup followed everybody and anybody, hoping that they might take her home. She was there on the shore, playing alone, rolling in the sand. She looked happy, and at the same time, she looked so sad, so alone and so vulnerable, Valia recalled. Deciding she'd seen enough, the kind woman drove to the beach the next day, put the loving pup in her car, and drove back to her home in Athens with the dog in tow. After a quick checkup at the vet's, where the rescuer discovered that the pup was about 6 months old, she went on to foster the dog, who she named Blue, for the blue sea that kept her company during the first months of her life, Valia revealed. Finally, the time came where Blue was ready to be put up for adoption. The Second Chance Animal Rescue Society posted about the dog on their Facebook page, and not long after, they already had an interested adoptee, Karen Folkerts, who lived in Holland. Came across Blue's post not long after one of her own dogs had passed away. Even though she was grieving her loss, she still wanted to help as many animals as she could, so it was no surprise that Blue was soon to join a home with 8 other rescue dogs and 5 rescue cats. The once stray dog quickly settled into her new forever home, making friends with the other animals there and even accompanying her new owner to her physiotherapy sessions. All of Karen's other rescues were actually trained therapy animals, and it wouldn't be long until Blue showed her skills too. After a particularly bad fall, where the loyal pooch stayed by Karen's side the entire time, it was clear that she would make a great addition to the therapy program. When Valia heard the news of Blue's potential new job, she was incredibly excited, saying that she has a soul for being a therapy dog. Since then, Blue has enjoyed her new life full of love, warmth, and care. It's hard to imagine that this beautiful and happy pup was once a lonely stray. What a beautiful story. Want to see more? Keep on watching. Stray cat adopts man at cafe. Lots of us love cafes for their homely atmosphere, delicious food and drinks and bustling atmosphere. But we're not the only ones. In a little cafe in Kuwait, 2 stray kitten sisters could often be found lounging around in the comfy chairs, huddling under the awning for protection, and of course, begging for food from the business's customers. Basil Akwan was a regular visitor of this cafe, often working on his laptop at the small establishment and enjoying the hustle and bustle of spending time outside. With his near-daily appearance at the place, he often saw the 2 cats, and in turn, they discovered just how much of a pushover he and his girlfriend were when it came to giving them treats. We used to see them together all the time. They always waited at the same spot for us to come, even on rainy days, Akwan said. They would sneak on the table for food and cuddles. One of the stray kittens, who Akwan had named Sophie, became particularly attached to the man, often following him back to his car, as if to go home with him. Well, it wasn't long before Sophie's sweet ways got to Akwan, and he took her home, with her sister being adopted by his girlfriend. Now the 2 are living happily together, perfectly in sync with one another. She's extremely playful, the man said. I get her toys all the time, and the best part is that she's adjusted to my habits, like sleeping. I think it's safe to say that this time, this little cafe kitten really did choose her owner. If you thought that was adorable, then this next story will have your hearts melting. Stray dog walks into home. Being a stray is hard, especially when winter rolls in. So one little pup decided to find her own home, much to the surprise of the family who found her. It was back in 2019 when the Jokinen family had the surprise of their life. Jack Jokinen, his wife, and their, at the time, 1-month-old daughter lived in Philadelphia, US. Early one morning, around 4 a.m., Mr. Jokinen woke up to see his wife standing over him with the most unusual news. After reassuring him that the baby was fine, she then revealed that there was a stray dog in their living room. Not believing what he was hearing, the 34-year-old man made his way downstairs to see an emaciated dog sitting in the middle of the floor, wet, shaking, and visibly afraid. Afraid that someone had broken into his home with the dog in tow, Mr. Jokinen did a thorough search of the house. Luckily, the house was secure, and all of the windows and doors were locked. So how did the dog get into the house? Intrigued at how the cunning canine had gotten in, the man looked over the footage from his security camera. The dog had originally been limping down the sidewalk next to the Jokinen's house before doubling back and cautiously creeping up the steps and through the open front door. A little while later, a Good Samaritan noticed that the door was ajar and pulled it shut, unknowingly locking the stray in the home. But why was the door open? Well, Mr. Jokinen realized that after walking their other dog, George, in the rain the previous evening, he hadn't pulled the door closed enough for the latch to catch. This meant that as the storm blew on, the wind was able to open the door later that night. Now, Mr. Jokinen and his wife had a decision to make. They could either keep the dog or hand her over to the local rescue center. Fearing what would happen to the poor pooch if she was given over to animal control, the couple instead took the animal to an emergency vet. A physical exam showed that the dog had ticks, fleas, damaged teeth, infected paws, severe emaciation, and an atrophied leg. It also revealed that the canine was between 7 and 9 years old. With such a long list of ailments and injuries, the vet bill to help the old girl was going to be quite big, but the couple were determined to help the dog and make her a new member of their family. They named the pooch Susan Pupman, after the New York Yankees sportscaster Susan Waldman. Mr. Jokinen, who blogged and hosted a podcast about the Yankees, tweeted about Susie's adventure to his 35,000 followers. The story quickly picked up steam, and people soon started sending donations to help cover the animal's vet bills. Eventually, over $25,000 was raised to help care for the pup. Susie was quick to take to her new life and settled in happily with her new family. Of all the bad things that could happen when your front door is left open, to end up with a sweet dog who just needs a good home, Jokinen said, I mean, wow, this could have gone a lot worse. Luckily for both the Jokinen family and Susie, everything worked out happily, although it's probably best not to leave your doors open at night. What a lucky dog to have stumbled upon such a kind family. But while Susie relied on the kindness of strangers, this little kitten went to the one place whose job it is to help. Stray Kitten walks into police station. Cats are probably some of the most independent and demanding pets out there. They know what they want and when they want it, and this little kitten is no different. In 2018, in Alameda, California, a tiny black kitten was on the hunt for a new home. After a few days of pacing back and forth in front of the Eden Township Police Station, the plucky little feline finally decided to enter the building. But instead of reporting his problem to the correct officer, he instead curled up on the sergeant's printer, acting as if he owned the place and took a nap. He's got a big attitude, but is super cute, Alameda County Sheriff's Office posted on Facebook. After catching some shut-eye, the little kitten set to work, hopping onto a nearby desk and giving a helping paw to the officer there. We think he was trying to walk on as a canine unit, and refused to leave until he got into the building for an interview, Alameda County Sheriff's Office wrote on Facebook. Although the officers loved him, they knew that the kitten couldn't stay there. Instead, Deputy Scalise took the little guy to the vet and after a clean bill of health, decided to take him home and be part of her family. He might not have become the new paws-iver, but he found something even better: a new forever home. Stray animals can turn up in all sorts of unusual places, as we've seen from these stories. But a lot of the time, all they want is to find a new family who will love and care for them. So keep an eye out. You might just find your new best friend without even realizing it.